Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everyday Hope and Simply Grace. Choose hope, embrace grace. So, if I told you that one of the absolute most effective, entirely stress-free blueprints for true wealth was actually written down over 4,000 years ago, would you believe me? Seriously, we live in this crazy world where making a buck usually means, getting caught up in sketchy crypto schemes, grinding away in that exhausting 5 a.m. hustle culture, or just stepping on everyone's toes to snag a promotion. But today, we're diving into this incredible explainer on an ancient, highly practical wealth blueprint from a biblical figure named Abraham. Now, Abraham didn't rely on hype, he didn't have algorithmic day trading, and he definitely didn't use manipulation. Instead, the guy relied on unshakable faith and just rock-solid integrity. And guess what? He became incredibly wealthy while keeping his peace and his relationship with God completely intact. So we're going to break down exactly how he pulled it off and how you can take these exact same timeless principles and plug them right into your own life today.
Now, here's a question for you. Are you letting your friends' spending habits totally dictate your bank account? Right? It's a tough question, I know, but it strikes right at the core of our modern financial anxiety. So often, we just let this toxic culture of impulsive buying and basically trying to keep up appearances completely drain our wallets. I mean, we buy things we literally do not need to impress people we might not even like, usually because of some late-night targeted Instagram ad. Sound familiar? Well, Abraham's very first step to true wealth was actually taking a step away. He had to leave his home in a place called Ur. And Ur was prosperous, it was comfortable, it was basically his ultimate comfort zone. But to step into his true financial and spiritual destiny, he actually had to leave that old limiting mindset completely behind. If you're constantly following everyone else's spending habits because you're terrified of missing out, you're trapped in that old mindset. You just cannot expect a totally different, abundant financial future if you're still making your choices based on peer pressure and old fears. Just look at the stark contrast here between the anxiety-driven modern hustle and Abraham's blueprint for deep peace. In our modern hustle, we naturally tend to put ourselves first, right? We spend first, and then, well, if there's absolutely anything left over, which, let's be honest, there rarely is, we might think about saving or giving. But Abraham flipped this entire script. Long before any religious laws even required it, he voluntarily gave away a tenth of his wealth right after a major victory. And why would he do that? To acknowledge that God, not his own sweat or the local economy, was the true source of his wealth. When you actually prioritize giving and acknowledge your true source right off the bat, it literally breaks the chains of greed and anxiety. It totally transforms the order of your financial life from this exhausting, stressful striving into a place of peaceful stewardship. Peace is more profitable than the best piece of land. This is where Abraham makes one of the most countercultural financial moves in human history. So when he and his nephew Lot became so wealthy that the land literally couldn't support both of their herds, their workers started getting into fights. Now, what did Abraham do? As the elder, he had every single right to just claim the best land for himself. Instead, he looks right at Lot and says, "You choose first. If you go left, I'll go right." And of course, Lot selfishly picks the absolute best, most fertile land. But Abraham knew something so profound. He knew that fighting over short-term profit ruins relationships, it destroys your health, and it completely steals your spiritual peace. Winning an argument over money, but losing a family member, that is a terrible return on investment. Abraham chose peace. And because he kept his hands open, God blessed him with far more than he ever gave up. An unfair scale is an abomination. You see, true wealth requires absolute integrity. Abraham understood that an unfair scale is terrible, but a just weight brings delight. This idea perfectly captures his attitude when he had to buy a burial plot for his wife. The landowner, a guy named Ephron, tried to play the big, generous, good guy in front of the whole town and offered the land for free. Now, let's be real. Most of us today would jump at a free deal. Free real estate? Yes, please. But not Abraham. He absolutely insisted on paying the full fair market price, right there in front of public witnesses. And why? Because he knew that quote-unquote free deals almost always come with messy strings attached. Unclear boundaries, unpaid favors, shady discounts, they always lead to future drama. Abraham teaches us that your integrity, having a clean reputation, and keeping your dealings 100% transparent is infinitely more valuable than saving a few quick bucks. So building your wealth circle, this absolute integrity we just talked about, it completely dictates the people you surround yourself with because wealth is not a solo sport. When Abraham's nephew Lot got captured by enemies, Abraham didn't just run out into battle by himself. Sure, he had a trained household, but he also had trusted allies. These were alliances he had intentionally built up over time. Make no mistake, your inner circle dictates your financial future. If you're surrounding yourself with people who constantly complain, who take shady shortcuts, or who just lack integrity, they are absolutely going to drag you down right into their mess. But if you build a solid wealth circle of spiritual allies and aligned, trustworthy partners who actually share your values, you'll find that you can weather pretty much any storm and seize the right opportunities together. Okay, generosity is invisible investing. I absolutely love this concept. There is this amazing story where Abraham is just sitting by his tent and he spots three strangers walking by. He doesn't ignore them. He doesn't pretend to be super busy looking at his scrolls. No, he literally runs out to meet them and insists on hosting this extravagant, incredibly generous meal for them. Now, he had no idea who they were, but as it turns out, they were angels delivering a massive blessing regarding his future son. It's wild, but it proves that radical generosity and just treating people exceptionally well, regardless of what they can do for you in that specific moment, is the ultimate long-term wealth strategy. When you are genuinely generous, it's like you're planting seeds in the invisible realm, and eventually those seeds produce this massive harvest of trust, new opportunities, and really deep fulfillment. Let's talk about Abraham's faithful risk. Taking risks is a huge part of growth, right? But true faith isn't really what a lot of people think it is nowadays. True faith is definitely not recklessly quitting your job on a Tuesday afternoon just because you watched some hyped-up motivational video. And it's sure not dumping your entire life savings into some trendy stock you know absolutely nothing about. Honestly, that's not faith. That's just foolishness driven by greed or maybe a fear of missing out. Abraham took massive risks, like completely uprooting and leaving his homeland, but he did it the right way. First, he prayed and sought direction. Then, he prepared practically. He gathered his resources, his family, his flocks. And only then did he step out in perfect peace. When your risks are driven by divine peace and careful, practical preparation rather than just some greedy impulse, well, that's when you know you're walking in true biblical faith. True generational wealth. We so often think that just leaving a giant pile of cash to the next generation is the ultimate goal of wealth. But let me tell you right now, leaving a bunch of money to your kids without actually teaching them the wisdom to manage it, that turns a blessing into a seriously dangerous temptation. Abraham didn't just hand his son Isaac a flock of sheep and a chest of gold. He left him an unshakable faith. He modeled deep integrity, and he taught him the actual practical financial management skills to handle those resources. So if you're only sitting there asking yourself, how much money can I leave my kids? Actually, scratch that. It's the wrong question entirely. What you really need to be asking is, am I leaving them the character and the values required to carry this wealth without it destroying them? Now that is the true definition of generational wealth. Life Plus moment. Audit your next paycheck. Prioritize giving and saving before spending. We've covered a ton of powerful 4,000-year-old wisdom in this explainer today, but hey, wisdom without action is basically just entertainment, right? So here is your highly practical Life Plus actionable step. I want you to audit your very next paycheck. Do not just let that money hit your account and instantly evaporate into bills and lifestyle expenses. Take immediate ownership. I want you to completely rearrange your financial order. When that money comes in, just pause. Take a breath. Prioritize giving to honor God, and prioritize saving to honor your future. Do this first, literally, before you spend a single dime on your lifestyle. By forcing your money to flow through this new, intentional order, you stop living on leftovers, and you actually start directing your wealth with the exact same faith and wisdom that Abraham had. So, is your wealth a heavy burden or a tool to bless others? I really want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on today. Take a good, honest look at your life right now. Is your wealth, or even just your pursuit of it, feeling like a heavy, anxious burden? Or is it a peaceful tool that's actually designed to create a legacy and bless the people around you? Look, money makes a terrible master, but it is a wonderful, incredible servant when it's guided by faith, generosity, and integrity. So don't let your finances rule you. Choose to manage them with wisdom, and just watch how peace completely floods your life. Every day, hope and simply grace. See you next time.